Welcome to the Depth Dive. Today, we're really getting into something fundamental, something how we cope, how we deal with life's challenges. Imagine this picture, a traveler, right? Caught in a massive storm, rains hammering down, winds howling, lightning. It's a scary...
Yeah.
And this traveler, they face a choice. Do they find a solid cave for shelter or just, desperately try to hold on to a flimsy umbrella?
That metaphor is so powerful.
It really captures it, doesn't it? That moment when we face our own storms, stress, loss, disappointment, uncertainty. What do? Cave or umbrella?
And that's exactly our mission. We want to draw a clear line between those sturdy shelters, the healthy ways of coping that actually help us, and the flimsy umbrellas, the ones that, well, they feel like they're helping, but they're not really.
Oh, the illusion of safety.
Precisely. And understanding this different, it impacts pretty much everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Relationships, work, health, our emotional state, even our ability to actually grow as people. So we'll be drawing on quite a mix. Think Carl Jung's deep dives into the psyche, the practical wisdom of the Stoics, Viktor Frankl's insights from unimaginable suffering, and what modern neuroscience is telling us too.
Okay, quite the toolkit. So let's start at the beginning. What exactly is coping psychologically?
Well, the classic definition from Lazarus and Folkman is basically the cognitive, emotional, and behavioral things we do.
Yeah.
The efforts we make to manage situations we see as, taxing or just beyond our usual resources.
So it's active, not passive.
Exactly. Active. And it involves thoughts, feelings, actions. It's multifaceted.
And subjective, too, right? What sinks my boat might be smooth sailing for you.
Totally subjective. What feels overwhelming is very personal.
Okay.
And, building on that, Carl Jung had such a fascinating perspective. He didn't just see coping as putting out fires.
Right.
He saw it as part of our whole life journey towards becoming whole, what he called individuation.
Yeah, individuation. So coping shapes who we become.
Deeply. And here's the kicker. Those defense mechanisms we use, they don't just protect us from outside stuff. Sometimes they protect us from uncomfortable truths about ourselves.
Like the shadow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The shadow, the parts we don't like to admit we have. So many unhealthy coping strategies, like numbing out or lashing out, they often come from trying not to face that shadow.
Wow. So avoiding ourselves can lead to these destructive patterns.
It's a major driver.
It's amazing how that links up with ancient wisdom, too. Like the Stoics, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius.
Timeless stuff.
Their core idea was radical, really. We can't control what happens out there, but we can control our reaction, our judgment about it.
Right. The suffering comes from the judgment.
Yeah. It's not the event itself, it's how you frame it.
Yeah.
Epictetus lived this, right? Despite facing huge physical challenge. He showed it's about discipline of the mind.
A powerful reframe. But what about when suffering seems, well, truly unavoidable, when you can't just reframe your way out of it?
Good question.
That's where Viktor Frankl comes. His experiences in Nazi concentration camps led him to develop logotherapy.
Based on finding meaning. Right.
Exactly. Frankl argued our deepest drive isn't actually pleasure or even avoiding pain, but finding meaning in our lives.
Even in suffering.
Especially in suffering. He saw that those who held on to some sense of purpose, some reason to endure, were more likely to survive the horrors.
Incredible.
So, healthy coping, from Frankl's view, has to address not just the immediate distress, but that deeper human need for meaning.
Okay, so we have these foundational ideas: active effort, individuation, controlling responses, finding. How do psychologists start sorting out the different types?
Well, one common way is distinguishing between problem-focused and emotion-focused coping.
Okay, what's
Problem-focused is when you try to change the situation itself. Make a plan, tackle a problem head-on, like planning that difficult project at work.
Got it. Taking action on the external.
Right. And emotion focus is more about managing your internal state, your emotional reaction to the stress, especially when you can't change the situation itself, like finding acceptance after a loss.
So one isn't always better than...
Not at all. It really depends. Can you change the problem? Then maybe problem-focused is key. If you can't, emotion-focused becomes crucial. It's about flexibility.
Makes sense.
Another really useful lens is approach versus avoidance.
Approach, like moving towards the problem.
Yeah, engaging with it, even if it's uncomfortable, seeking support, getting information, facing the feelings.
And avoidance is, well, avoiding it.
Pretty much. Distancing yourself, denial, distraction, withdrawing. Now, a little avoidance, short term. That can actually be adaptive, gives you breathing room.
Like hitting pause.
Exact. But chronic avoid, that's usually where things get. The problem doesn't go away, it often grows, and you miss chances to learn or build resilience.
The trap you mentioned earlier.
That's the one. Knowing when avoidance is protective versus when it's preventing growth is key.
And Jung adds another layer, right? Conscious versus unconscious coping.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So much of how we react is driven by stuff below the surface. Patterns laid down in childhood, maybe even deeper archetypal things.
Things we don't even realize we're doing.
Often, yes. Jung really stressed bringing these unconscious patterns into the light. Paying attention to dreams, yes, but also just noticing your gut reactions, your recurring triggers.
Becoming your own detective, like you said.
Right. It's about increasing self-awareness.
Okay.
And, connecting this to a different tradition, Buddhism offers a really profound framework, too.
How so?
Well, they talk a lot about attachment, our tendency to cling desperately to pleasant things and push away unpleasant things.
Which causes more suffering, right? The second arrow.
Exactly. The first arrow is the difficult event itself. The second arrow is the suffering we add through our resistance, our craving, our aversion.
Ouch. Shoot ourselves with that second one.
Often. So healthy coping, from this view, involves cultivating equanimity.
Equanimity, like being calm.
It's more than just calm. It's balance. Being responsive, making wise choices, but not being reactive, not being yanked around by every feeling or event. It's not numbness. It's skillful engagement.
Okay, that's a really helpful set of framework. Let's pivot now to the sturdy shelter, the healthy ways of coping. What makes them?
Well, they tend to share some key features. They're generally sustainable. You can keep doing them without causing more problems.
Unlike the flimsy umbrellas.
Right. They support your overall well-being, often boosting other parts of your life. They usually involve facing reality, maybe not comfortably, but directly.
No denial?
Generally, no. And crucially, they tend to promote growth, learning, and make you better equipped for the next storm.
Okay, so let's get specific. What are some examples?
Number one, huge one, social support. We are fundamentally social creatures.
Connection matters.
Immensely. Good relationships offer practical help, sure, but also emotional validation, feeling heard and understood. They give you new perspectives, a sense of belonging.
Yeah, just knowing someone's got your back.
It's massive, and it's often quality over quantity. Martin Buber talked about I-thou relationships, real deep connection. That's often where the magic happens.
That feeling of being truly seen.
That's it. Then number two, physical exercise and movement.
The mind-body connection.
Absolutely. The benefits are just staggering. Endorphin release, sure, but also discharging physical tension, sometimes social connection if you exercise with others. Even just a walk can be like moving meditation.
Then sana in corpore sano, right? Sound mind, sound body.
The ancients knew, and neuroscience now shows us why. Exercise literally changes brain structure and chemistry in ways that boost resilience.
So gym time is brain time too.
Third, mindfulness and meditation.
This seems huge these days.
It is, and for good reason. It's about cultivating present moment awareness. John Kabat-Zinn's definition is great. Paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally.
Non-judgment. That sounds hard.
It takes practice, but it fundamentally changes your relationship with stress. You learn to observe thoughts and feelings without getting swept away. Watching the storm, not being in it.
Okay, less reactivity.
Precise. Fourth, and this one might surprise, negative visualization. This is a stoic practice.
Wait, thinking about bad things helps. That sounds depressing.
It does sound counterintuitive, but the idea isn't to dwell morbidly. It's to consciously contemplate the potential loss of things you value, your health, loved one, possession.
Why would you do that?
Several reasons. It increases appreciation for what you have now. It mentally prepares you for inevitable change and loss, so it's less of a shock when it happens. It reduces attachment. Like Seneca said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. This practice helps tame that fearful imagination.
So facing the possibility makes it less scary. Paradoxical, but interesting.
It really is. Fifth, creative expression.
Art, music, writing.
Exactly. Any form. It allows us to process difficult experiences, especially emotions, in ways that words alone sometimes can't capture.
Getting it out.
And transforming it. Jung was very interested in the healing power of creativity, how symbols and images emerging from the unconscious can bring insight and integration.
Makes sense. Sick.
Good old problem solving and planning. When a situation can be changed, breaking it down, brainstorming options, making a concrete plan, that gives a sense of agency and control.
Taking charge where you can.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Serenity Prayer.
Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change.
The courage to change the things I can.
And the wisdom to know the difference. That sums it up beautifully.
Doesn't it? Knowing when to problem solve and when to shift to emotion-focused coping.
Okay, and one more?
Yes. 7, reframing or cognitive restructuring. This is about examining your thoughts and beliefs about a situation.
Changing your thinking.
Or at least questioning it. Is this interpretation accurate? Is it helpful? Remember Epictetus saying the insult doesn't hurt, your judgment that it's terrible hurts?
Right.
Reframing is about becoming the conscious editor of your internal narrative, challenging those unhelpful automatic thoughts.
So lots of powerful, sturdy shelter. Now let's talk about the flimsy umbrellas, the unhealthy strategies.
Right. These are the ones that might feel good or at least provide relief in the moment.
The quick fix.
Exactly. But they're generally unsustainable. You often need more and more to get the same effect. They usually involve avoiding or distorting reality somehow. And critically, they tend to block growth and mess up other areas of your life.
Okay, what falls into this category?
Well, the obvious one first. Substance abuse, alcohol, drug, prescription.
The numbing agents.
Yes, they offer a temporary escape hatch from pain or anxiety, but the cost is enormous. They interfere with actually processing emotions, damage health, ruin relationships, create dependency. The list goes on.
And Jung saw it as a misguided search for something deeper.
A misguided spiritual quest, yeah. Trying to find transcendence or connection in a way that ultimately diminishes.
Wow. Okay, what else?
Denial and avoidance. We touched on avoidance, but chronic denial is really problematic. Just refusing to acknowledge a problem exists.
Pretending it's not happening.
Right. And the problem doesn't go away, it just festers, often gets bigger. Freud called denial a primitive defense. And related to this is spiritual bypass.
Spiritual bypassing, what's that?
It's using spiritual ideas or practices to avoid dealing with uncomfortable psychological issues, like always insisting on positive vibes only when you're actually grieving, or using meditation to numb out instead of gain insight. It looks spiritual, but it's avoidance in disguise.
Sneaky.
Very. Third, aggression and violence. This can be directed outwards towards others or inward self-harm, relentless self-criticism.
Trying to regain control through force.
Often, yes. It can stem from feeling powerless or overwhelmed. Eric Fromm wrote about how aggression can arise from profound impotence. So addressing it often means helping someone find healthier ways to feel empowered.
Got it. 4.
Compulsive behaviors and other addictions. Things like excessive shopping, gambling, workaholism, compulsive internet use, or gaming.
Things that aren't substances, but act like them.
Exactly. They provide that temporary dopamine hit, the relief from boredom, anxiety, emptiness, but it's short-lived. And then comes the crash, the guilt, the negative consequences.
The hungry ghost idea you mentioned.
Yes, the Buddhist image of beings constantly consuming but never satisfied. Or Jung's idea of complexes, these autonomous patterns that just take over your behavior.
Always seeking, never finding lasting satisfaction.
That's the pattern. And finally, number 5, perfection.
Wait, perfectionism is unhealthy. It sounds like a good thing.
It often masks itself as high standards, but toxic perfectionism is different. It sets impossible goals, leading to chronic self-criticism, procrastination, fear of not being perfect, and an inability to enjoy achievements.
So it's avoiding trying because you might fail.
In a sophisticated way, yes. It avoids the vulnerability of actually putting something out there that isn't flawless. Voltaire was right. Perfect is the enemy of good. It paralyzes you.
Okay, those umbrellas look pretty flimsy indeed. Now, you mentioned neuroscience earlier. How does the brain fit into all this? This is fast stuff.
It really is. We can now literally see how these coping styles affect the brain. So you've got the amygdala. Think of it as your brain's smoke detector or alarm system. It reacts fast to potential threats.
Fight or flight central.
Pretty much. Then you have the prefrontal cortex, the PFC. That's more like the CEO, planning, judgment, emotional regulation, calming the amygdala down when it's a false alarm.
Okay, alarm and control tower.
Good analogy. Now, under chronic stress, something problematic happens. PFC gets impaired. It's harder to think clearly, regulate emotions. Meanwhile, the amygdala becomes more sensitive, more reactive.
So you get more alarms and less ability to turn them off.
Exactly. A vicious cycle. You become more reactive, less thoughtful in your response.
Yikes. So how do healthy coping mechanisms affect this brain dynamic?
They actively support the PFC and promote integration between different brain regions. Meditation, for instance, has been shown to literally thicken parts of the PFC and reduce the reactivity of the amygdala over time.
Wow, building a better control tower.
You can say that. Physical exercise boosts chemicals like BDNF that help grow new neural connections, making the brain more adaptable. Social connection releases oxytocin, which directly buffers the stress response and helps the nervous system recover.
So healthy coping isn't just a nice idea. It's actually reshaping our brain hardware for resilience.
Precisely. It's physical change. Now, unhealthy coping, that often works by giving a temporary artificial jolt to the brain's reward system, dopamine.
The feel-good chemical.
Right. But it disrupts the natural balance, leading to tolerance needing more for the same effect, dependent, and avoidant. It prevents the brain from learning that the feared thing might not be catastrophic. It stops pictuation.
So avoiding spiders actually makes you more scared of spiders long-term.
In many cases, yes, because your brain never learns that most encounters are harmless. But here's the really hopeful part. Neuroplasticity.
The brain can change.
Throughout life. It's not easy. Habits are strong, but the brain can rewire itself. We can learn new responses, strengthen healthier pathways. It takes effort and persistence, but change is biological.
That's incredibly empowering. But okay, it's not just about our individual brains or choices. The world we live in matters.
Hugely. Coping doesn't happen in a vacuum. Think about cultural context. Western cultures often prize individual self-reliance.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right. Whereas many Eastern cultures might emphasize collectivism, social harmony, relying on the group. Neither is inherently better, but they shape which coping styles feel normal or are encouraged.
And things like habitus, those ingrained habits we get from our upbringing.
Exactly. Bourdieu's idea. What feels natural to you is often shaped by your social environment. And gender socialization plays a part too. Traditional masculinity might discourage showing vulnerability or seeking help.
While traditional femininity might encourage emotional expression but discourage assertiveness.
Right. These aren't deterministic, but they are influences we need to be aware of in ourselves and others.
Okay.
And we absolutely have to talk about socioeconomic factors and historical trauma.
How do they fit in?
Well, chronic poverty or financial instability creates immense stress and limits access to resources, healthy food, safe places, therapy. This can lead to toxic stress, where the stress response system is constantly activated, impairing brain development and function.
Making healthy coping much harder.
Significantly harder. And historical trauma, the legacy of things like slavery, colonialism, genocide, can impact coping patterns across generations. We're even seeing evidence this can happen via epigenetic changes in how genes are expressed.
Wow, so trauma can be passed down.
The vulnerability and certain response patterns can be. Understanding this helps us see why some reactions might feel so automatic or overwhelming for certain individuals or groups. It points towards the need for collective healing, not just individual fixes.
That adds so much complexity, but also compact. And this seems to loop back to me. Maybe the biggest difference between healthy and uncoping is about.
I think that's a really profound point. Let's revisit Frank. He said, we find meaning through creating something, through experiencing something or someone, or through the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering.
Choosing our response, even when we can't choose the circumstances.
Precisely. And this ties into ideas like benefit finding, post-traumatic growth, the ability, sometimes after immense difficulty, to find ways the experience has actually contributed to your development.
Finding the silver lining, but in
a very deep way. And for Jung, remember, individuation itself is a meaning-making process. The symptoms, the struggles, they aren't just problems to be eliminated. They contain information pointing towards what needs to be integrated for you to become more whole.
So the struggle itself can be meaningful.
It can be. As Nietzsche famously put it, he who has a why to live for can bear almost anyhow, meaning provides immense resilience.
Okay, this is all incredibly insight, but understanding is one thing, doing is another. How can someone listening actually start building these sturdy shelters? Where do you even begin?
Great question. It is a process, and the absolute first step, echoing Jung again, is self-awareness. You have to start noticing your patterns. What do you typically do when stressed? What are your go-to reactions, conscious or unconscious?
Paying attention without judging immediately.
Exactly. Jung called it holding the tension of opposite, being able to acknowledge different, even contradictory parts of your experience without needing to instantly fix or resolve it. Just observe first.
Okay, observe. Then what?
Then you start deliberately building a diverse repertoire, like a toolkit. You don't just want a hammer.
Right. Need screwdrivers and wrenches, too.
Precisely. So you need problem-focused tools, maybe learning time management, assertiveness skills, emotion-focused mindfulness practice, finding creative outlets, building social connection, maybe meaning-focused tools, volunteering, spiritual practice, clarifying your values.
So you have options depending on...
Exactly. And crucially, you often need to address underlying issues. If you just stop drinking, for example, but don't address the anxiety that drove you to drink,
you might just pick up another unhealthy habit or relapse.
Very likely. So sometimes therapy or support groups are needed to get at the root. It might involve what we call scaffolding, temporary supports, while you build stronger internal skills.
Makes sense. Temporary help to build lasting.
Right. And don't underestimate environmental and social factors. Can you structure your environment to make healthy choices easy? Keep junk food out of the house. Create a dedicated space for relaxation.
Environmental design for well-being?
Yeah. And actively cultivate supportive relations. We talked about social support. It's a two-way street and a positive feedback. Healthy coping helps relationships. Good relationships support healthy coping.
Surround yourself with shelter builders, not umbrella holders.
That's a good way to put it. And finally, be prepared for those leap of faith moments. Trying a new healthy behavior might feel awkward or even more stressful at first.
Like going to the gym when you feel awful.
Exactly. Or speaking up assertively when you're used to staying quiet. This requires distress tolerance, the ability to sit with temporary discomfort for the sake of long-term growth. You have to tolerate the awkwardness while the new pathway gets stronger.
That's a tough but important. Okay, so as we wrap up, this journey of developing healthy coping, it's not like flipping a switch, right?
Not at all. It's ongoing. Everyone slips back into old patterns sometimes.
And that's okay, not failure.
Absolutely okay. It's just information. Okay, that old pattern showed up. What was the trigger? What can I try differently next? It's learning.
And the field is always evolving too, right? Positive psychology, more neuroscience.
Constantly. We're learning more about neuroplasticity, integrating insights from different wisdom traditions. Technology brings new challenges, digital addiction, information overload, but also new tools like mindfulness apps or online support group. We need digital literacy for coping now too.
And we face new collective stressors, climate change, political divides, this thing called solastalgia.
Yes. Distress, specifically about environmental change and loss. All these require us to adapt and find new ways to cope, individually and together.
It sounds daunting, but also hopeful.
I think profoundly hopeful. Despite everything, humans have this incredible capacity for resilience, for growth, for finding meaning. Healthy coping isn't just about surviving misery. It actually enhances our ability to experience joy, creativity, love, connection, even when things are good.
It builds capacity for the good stuff, too.
Absolutely. Think of the yin-yang symbol, or Jung's concept of enantiodromia, how working skillfully with our shadows, our difficulties, can paradoxically lead to our greatest strength. Anxiety can become empathy. Addiction recovery can lead to spiritual depth.
Wow.
And never forget the ripple effect. When you develop healthier coping, it doesn't just benefit you. It benefits your kids who learn by watching you. It improves your workplace. It strengthens your community. It contributes, in a small but real way, to a more compassionate, resilient world.
That's a powerful motivator. And maybe the final crucial piece is how we treat ourselves during this process.
Oh, absolutely critical. Self-criticism is probably the biggest saboteur of change.
Beating yourself up doesn't help.
Rarely, if ever. Think about the Buddhist idea of metta, loving kindness. It often starts with directing that kindness toward yourself. Kristen Neff's work on self-compassion is brilliant.
What is that?
3 things. Self-kindness, treating yourself as you would a good friend, recognizing your common humanity, you're not alone in struggle, and mindful awareness.
Yeah.
Seeing your suffering clearly without exaggeration. And the paradox. Self-compassion actually increases motivation to change and take responsibility, far more than self-criticism.
Kindness fuels change better than harshness.
It really seems to, which leads to self-forgiveness.
Meaning letting yourself off the hook.
Not exactly excusing bad behavior. It's more about releasing the burden of self-punishment, which drains energy. Forgiving yourself allows you to redirect that energy towards learning, making amends if needed, and building better patterns moving forward. It's practical and it's healthier.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. From the flimsy umbrellas to the sturdy shelters, the psychology, the neuroscience, the societal factors. Really, this whole deep dive is an invitation, isn't it? For you listening to look at your own pattern with curiosity, not judgment.
Curiosity and compassion.
Yes. What do you recognize? What shelters are you already using? What umbrellas might you be clinging to? What new tool, maybe just one, might you experiment with? Remember, all this wisdom, Stoics, Jung, Frankl, Buddha, neuroscience, it's all pointing towards your capacity for this journey.
And ultimately, remember that the ultimate laboratory for understanding coping mechanisms is your own lived experience.
You are the expert on you.
Exactly. Keep learning. Talk about these ideas. Pay attention to what actually helps you. Because this journey, developing these skills, it's arguably humanity's most vital work, cultivating wisdom, compassion, resilience for ourselves, for each other, for the planet.
A truly profound thought to end.
So the question for you is, what single step, however small, might you take today to walk that path?